Hey guys, I'm Greg Jones for Engine Builder, and welcome to another episode of Industry Insiders. Today I'm joined by Phil Data. He is the VP of Sales for SBI International. Phil, I know it's been a little while since you've been at Babcock's Media here, so great to have you in the building. And
thank you for having me.
Excited to talk to you today.
Excellent. Look forward to it.
Yeah. Now, again, like I said, it's been a little while since we've chatted with you and caught up with everything that's going on at SBI. And a lot has happened in those few years, with the pandemic and some changes within the company at the top for you guys and just overall. So I kind of wanted to start there. What's been going on in the last 3-4 years that you can kind of bring us up to date on?
A lot of business. As you said, we've had a change at the top. So we have a new president in Ryan Hamilton, but he is a long-time employee. He's been with SBI for the last 15 years. And the last several that came out of our product group. So he was the driving force behind our new product development, our catalog, who we are, what we do,
right.
And keeping our brand going. So to have somebody that has been an integral part of the organization for so long, being at the very top now, speaks volumes. It means a lot for us.
Sure.
But having that change and a new style, new leadership, everybody has their own style and what they want to place upon, the organization. Mm-hmm. It's always a change. It's been a absolutely positive change, but we have to find our own footing, for this.
Certainly.
To do our daily business and then continue to understand where we want to go in the future,
right.
And keep our foot on that gas pedal. So having those changes of leadership at the top and then coming into the crazy pandemic world that, we've been operating in for the last couple of years, it's been challenging to say the least.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously it's unfortunate circumstances as to how those changes took place, but the timing, was maybe good because of what's been going on, around the world and just in the industry that is automotive and
definitely
and engine building.
A little bit of a different lens and a fresh face,
sure.
to look at something. Being that we're coming up on our 40th anniversary, you still have to be new and fresh, and you don't want to get stale in what we do. So having that new leadership, the new, kind of focal point, the different lens from how he sees,
right.
the organization and where he wants to, take and lead the organization.
Right.
I think it happened at a very opportune time and has been good.
Yeah.
It's just made everything so magnified now, as soon as the pandemic kicked in, and how we all have to be different in our day-to-day and how we operate. But the demand is just through the roof in the industry,
right.
as well.
It's insane.
So when you put all of that together at one, it creates some challenges, an awful lot of work, an exciting time to be able to really
right.
dive into, but very difficult, to say the least.
Right. Now, Phil, we'll come back to some of that demand and just what's happening in the industry today and, from SBI's standpoint. But do you want to talk a little bit about how you guys go to market? I know there's obviously direct to consumer, direct, and then distribution.
Yes.
And you guys are more on the distribution side of that.
Very much so. So we wholeheartedly support the distribution model. Being 40 years old and being able to partner with the largest distributors around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, we are a global company, so the international in SB International truly means something to us.
Right.
So to be able to operate in all continents means a lot. While we are headquartered in our North American presence is very strong, we are a true global company.
Right.
So having that distribution network globally, means a lot to us. Mm-hmm. We have an awful lot of overtures from, individuals that would like to come direct that are not direct with us. And the first thing that we revert back to is who do we work with in that geographic area and what business partner and distributor can we help align them with?
Right.
Because while we put out a top quality product, we only focus on valve train. So when you're in the machine shop and they're trying to cover, unless he's just doing head work, he's trying to cover the entire motor. Well, that's where that distributor really means a lot to that individual, machinist
right.
or machine shop,
right.
because they have the ability to grab all components for their entire build.
Yeah.
And trying to go direct with every individual and say, well, I'm going to work with this manufacturer and this supplier and I've got to write this many POs just to be able to grab, my one build,
Sure.
that presents a lot of challenges for the machinist in his shop.
Yeah. Yeah, it might sound better on paper to a lot of these guys who think maybe it's faster to go right to the source.
Correct.
But as you mentioned, it's really not the case in a lot of circumstances.
Correct.
Yeah.
And as we spoke earlier, I take trying to break down the business at kind of its simplest form. It is my job as leading sales for the organization to get you our product, the fastest, most efficient means possible, and the best price.
Yeah.
And sometimes working through the distributor, you're able to obtain a better deal than you would even coming direct, through us, depending upon, the level of business and what we would do together. Sure. So there's kind of a misnomer out there that if I can come direct to you and we can work together, that I can get the product faster and I can get the product at the best price. And that's not always the case.
Yeah.
The amount of business we do with our distributors and our partners, as we call them, because it's really not just a one-sided business transaction. It's a true partnership.
Right.
Because we can't do what we do to get our product out there without them.
Yeah.
And without them being the liaison to the machine shop, we're really stuck. It's an uphill battle.
Right.
So that partnership means a lot to us.
No, that's great. Well, as you mentioned, there's tons of great distributors out there, and it's great that you're supporting that channel. And so hope you guys understand that if you're working with SBI, that distribution's the way to get about getting their product.
Definitely.
Now, all that being said, and you mentioned that SBI now is getting close to its 40th anniversary, and,
Yes.
and we'll touch on that in a second. But obviously, a lot of folks are familiar with the brand and your components and products. But maybe for the folks that aren't as familiar, do you want to talk a little bit about the valve train components that you guys produce, and then what markets you guys are focused on?
Sure. We cover all of the product categories, inside head. So whether you're looking for the smaller commodity pieces, whether it be, a valve lock or a stem seal, or you're looking for your main components, I have to have my valve and I need my valve seat, and I need my valve guide, and I need my valve spring, or we're going to go into, a rocker setup. And I'm going to need, rocker arm, I need a push rod. So we're able to cover, all components inside the head of the motor and valve train.
Right.
And we are fortunate enough to be able to cover all segments as well. So you have a 4-cylinder, Toyota Corolla, and I need to have a head job done on that. Or you have the ever so popular, whether it's going to be a Ford Power Stroke, or it's going to be my Dodge Ram that has a Cummins, diesel in it, or it's going to be the GM Duramax, all the way to one of the areas where we are very well known for, and that's the true heavy duty segment, and all the way up to a 3500 series Caterpillar.
Yeah.
So we're able to cover just about everything that is out there, which is neat. It gives us an awful lot of, breadth to work with our customer base.
Yeah, certainly. Well, that's great. So it's everything, like you said, from a 4-liter, your V6s, your V8s, gas engines, over to the diesel side, and then your heavy duty stuff.
Correct. Light duty all the way to true heavy duty.
Yeah, that's great. Obviously, that means that there's a lot of SKUs out there, and I understand that your product catalog can be pretty hefty.
It has grown too, as we were, having to talk earlier, from the very early days, and just having a few pages of valve seat inserts.
Yeah.
And that's how the company started 40 years ago. And you fast forward 40 years till now, and you take a look at almost 1,000-page catalog and well over 5,000, active stocking SKUs. It's been a very neat growth pattern. Nice to see. And if you don't have that breadth of product for the customer, then you limit your customer base and who you can work with and sell to. So being able to have that really means a lot to us.
Yeah. Now, Phil, we were talking earlier that, how you guys have gone about business has changed based on how long you've been in business.
Yes.
You guys have been around for almost 40 years now, and, you've become this gold standard when it comes to valve train components for a lot of these markets. And at the beginning of that business, you guys were trying to catch, who was the gold standard at the time.
Correct.
Do you want to talk about the change in mentality as, you guys approach that 40th anniversary and look into the future of maintaining the quality and the standard that you guys have been known for?
Yeah, it's very neat. I'm glad you bring up the term quality. And every organization sets out to have a quality piece. I don't think anybody is setting out to not have a quality piece inside their box.
Sure.
But I wholeheartedly believe that some believe in it a little more than others, and may, rest on their laurels sometimes where you just can't. The blue and yellow box is synonymous with a quality piece. And that's something that we just will be unwavering in. And you talk about the pandemic side of this and the challenges that has led to here for all of us, inside, the auto aftermarket.
Yeah.
But that is one area where we have not wavered. We would rather not have a piece to sell you if it has to be a watered down or inferior piece from what our quality standards are.
Yeah.
And whether that be when our product comes in, whether we check our critical dimensions, we check to make sure it's the proper alloy, well, the Rockwell test for hardness. I mean, we go through the same set of quality control parameters and metrics, every single day of the week, and we just don't waver on that.
Yeah.
And then that helps us continue to put the highest quality valve train pieces in our box here. So when you get that SBI piece, no matter if it's a valve lock or if it's the valve itself, you know what you're getting each and every time.
Right.
And that means a lot to our customer base.
Yeah. Oh, certainly.
So when you talk about the 40-year history here for the organization, and watching this grow over time for the different categories inside valve train, when you work with somebody that may have been with us a couple of years, or we have customers that come all the way back to the the first
beginning.
days that we opened up.
Sure.
They are the testament and can tell you, yes, I know what I'm getting, for this.
Yeah.
I know what I'm getting when I open this box. And it doesn't change. And that's nice because that can't always be said, for all organizations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, it's the number one reason engine builders stick with brands is because of the quality and repeatability.
Correct.
And, just being able to produce the same stuff
They know what they're getting.
Right.
Their time is the most precious commodity that they have. And
especially now, right?
Oh my goodness. Any shop that has good craftsmanship and has solid machinists in it, when you walk in there, the amount of work is just overflowing. They can't get to it.
Yep.
They try to turn people away. I can't get to this for 6 or 8 weeks. I saw it last week while I was traveling in Missouri.
Yeah.
And you see the gentleman, no, I'm not going to see that for 2 months. And he still leaves it. Mm-hmm. I need this head redone.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah, 2 months is actually pretty quick.
Unfortunately, in some
right,
cases.
Right.
And he says, no, please, get to it when you can.
Yeah.
And that repeat customer is obviously important to them. So getting back to the time aspect of that, their most precious commodity, they don't want something to come back to them where it isn't their machine work and their tolerances, but it may have been a given component or part that has failed because they didn't use the best pieces that are out there.
Yep.
So the customers that rely on the SBI product offering, they know what they're going to get, and that's why they come back, especially in today's age.
Yeah.
There's no time to do it a second time.
Yep. Well said. And just kind of going further into that same discussion, and because of the supply chain issues that we're seeing in the industry, you mentioned earlier that two components in particular, valves and lifters, are particularly tough because of the materials and stuff that goes into it. It's kind of taken the longest time, right?
It's been very difficult. Those are two of our longer lead time items, whether they be raw material issues, obviously the process that goes into having finished goods, to shipping and international freight, unfortunately, is a complete nightmare. Mm-hmm. And while everybody in the aftermarket has been feeling this across all components inside a motor, inside valve train, those are two of the longer lead times, for us.
Yeah.
And fortunately, everybody's in the same boat, though. So there's a little more latitude that is given because I don't know if there's an individual in any continent in the world that isn't experienced this and isn't going through this. Right. And it's small organizations to the largest organizations, in the world.
Well, and like you said, you're not taking any shortcuts, to speed that up. You guys are keeping the same quality and making sure that the product's staying the same. So
correct.
That just kind of comes with the territory, unfortunately, at
it
the
does.
current moment.
But we would rather keep the same metrics in place, the tried and true process that has made us successful, and not deviate from that to try and speed this up, maybe be a little too fast, unwavering with some of our protocols, just to get something in the box out the door to potentially fail. Yeah. It's not going to work for us ever. Yep. So we would rather slow that down, not have it to sell today, may have to be tomorrow or the next day for that. Right. But to know it's going to be 100% quality that always goes into that box.
Certainly. Now, you brought up the blue and gold box a couple times, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers out there are familiar with it. And we mentioned the 40th anniversary.
Yes.
Can you give anything away? What's coming later this summer as a celebration, or do people have to wait until a little later this year to find out?
No, it's going to be. We'll give a little bit. We are going to do. We are headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So we are going to put a small gathering and party together for not only our staff but the family that owns this organization, and then our closest partners, from our customers to our outside sales reps to our distribution, network and partners, and some of our longtime customers. We would love to have everybody globally, come and attend this and celebrate that evening with us.
Right.
But obviously we can't invite everybody, but we will have a nice party put together.
Yeah, as you should. 40 years is a big deal.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
We look forward to the celebration.
That's
and
great.
more importantly, we can celebrate the 40 that we put together, and then talk about how we're going to attack the next 40. Because the next 40 is maybe more important than the first 40.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Times are definitely different now than they were 40 years ago.
Yes, they are.
And it's all exciting, isn't it?
Very much so.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time for us.
Yeah. Well, Phil, I really want to thank you again for joining me today, giving me a few minutes to talk to the folks on our Industry Insiders show here.
Thank you for having me.
Anything else you want to say, or are you all set?
No, I am good.
All right.
Appreciate your time.
Awesome. Well, guys, make sure you check out SBI if you're unfamiliar. If you do business with them already, make sure you keep talking to them, keep doing business with these guys. They got great product. And of course, make sure you're checking out Engine Builder for more engine content. And we'll see you guys all next time. Thanks for watching.